Hello, and welcome to our first episode of Chaos and Caffeine. There's a couple of things we're going to do in these. First, it's not replacing the Motor Dock vlog, which will be the technical vlog in which I will discuss technical aspects of reliability and maintenance. Instead, this is going to be the horrible idea of talking about things in general from a reliability perspective. At the same time, we're going to enjoy different coffees. In this case, today, my cup is full of Tactisquatch. Now, what we're going to do as I talk about the coffee side of Chaos and Coffee is I am not receiving any endorsements from these folks. It's literally, I enjoy coffee, so I'm going to talk about the different ones I get. So this one here is a dark ground coffee. It's not the first time I've ordered it. I ordered a box of 84, which should last me about 2 days. I think most of the people that I work with are scared of the coffee that I order. But in this case, this is Black Rifle. It's a veteran-owned company, started with a bunch of former operators from Afghanistan that set up a coffee plant in Utah, Salt Lake City. And I've been near there. I know some of the folks from there and really enjoyed it. So I wanted to do this one as the first one. Tactisquatch, of course, because we picked up a brand that has to do with Sasquatch. And I'll tell you what ReliaSquatch is in just a second as well. So very good. Not bad for a dark coffee. It's not as bitter as I expected. I don't have to add the pinch of salt, Navy veteran, and I don't have to do certain other things. It's almost as if some Army guys didn't make it. So it doesn't taste like it's been filtered through a sock. But in any case, it actually is really good. It's not the heavily caffeinated stuff I normally get, and we'll talk about one of those next week with another veteran-owned group that I follow all these guys on LinkedIn. You're only going to find me on LinkedIn and YouTube. If you find me anywhere else, it's not me. So in any case, the whole thing behind, if you follow me on places like LinkedIn, you're going to see a lot of Sasquatch related stuff, and it was before all of these other Sasquatch related YouTube channels and other things. Tactisquatch actually came out about the same time. It's not that. For whatever reason, Sasquatch came back to life. Now, my adventure was a little bit different. So I was, a few years ago, traveling up to a job site, a cryptocurrency site in northern New York, and had to drive through the Adirondacks. You know, driving, I prefer driving. It's fantastic to see the U.S. countryside. We'll talk about that in future episodes. This one's got to be short because I have to be on a teleconference in a few minutes. But I wanted to get the first episode done because it's been one hell of a week. So in any case, driving through the Adirondacks, these 2-lane highways, through the mountains and everything else, there was Sasquatch stuff everywhere, you know. So, you know, the silhouettes and the statues, and I attempted to get a statue and everything else. And I even have up here on the shelf some stuff I got from the Adirondacks that are Sasquatch related. It started as a joke. I kind of mentioned on LinkedIn that, you know, I was driving through the Adirondacks and I had a Sasquatch sighting. Oh, it was a silhouette. And the point I made after that was, well, I'm going on a hunt for Sasquatch because it's just as easy to find Sasquatch as the reliability programs we hear about, you know, all the maintenance programs and all of the energy and emissions programs and everything else we hear about, but we can never find. So, you know, people talk about them. Oh, yeah, I saw this great one at such and such. And then you go to such, and you just can't find it. So, next thing I know, a friend of mine, who I believe we still follow each other on LinkedIn, had put together an image. And I'll include that somewhere along here let's see, at about 5 minutes into the episode, I'll include that image that was made. And it was kind of a joke. It was supposed to be me as Sasquatch driving my Silverado, and the interior was beautiful. It was a great job with the background wind turbines. You're going to hear me talk about clean energy a fair amount. But in any case, it became a thing. I used it on some of my vlogs and everything else, and the technical vlogs, and people didn't get it right away, and then I mentioned it a few times, and then next thing I know, it caught. It was one of those things. Now, at that time, we didn't call it ReliaSquatch. I'm in the process of I've submitted for a trademark, but in any case, the whole thing turned into this thing. I did music, the AI generated music videos concerning it, and talked about it, used it in presentations. I do a lot of presentations, the vlogs. Other people started putting it up there because, the Sasquatch couldn't make it to whatever. Eventually, I started referring to it the end of last year as ReliaSquatch. And the idea was, the reliability aspect of looking for this person or this thing. And then came the whole orange hard hat with Motor Dock on it and ReliaSquatch on the name tag. That's relatively recent. That's like after, I think, starting in May or June, started doing that. And then I started putting together these AI generated cartoons, because why not? What else is generative AI good for? Because I can manage all of the all of the errors in that kind of AI versus business related AI. Another story for another day. So it's caught on to a point where I have some friends of mine at Joliet Electric started putting them up on their desks. Well, Joliet got by Hitachi, and then the folks at Joliet Electric contacted people here while I was at a conference, and had obtained a full-size Sasquatch. Like, the thing stands 8 foot, hunched over a little bit, but that now guards our front door on rollers. So I walked in, I remember it, we had an issue here. We had flooding one day because somebody a couple of doors down was pissed off at their boss, so they shoved paper towels down and flooded every space except their own. So we had to deal with that flooding, and that took, that we were trying to work around construction people doing repairs for like 3 days. Absolute chaos. And then on the Friday when that was done, I left here at 7 a.m. and came back Saturday morning at 7 a.m. to find that a car had gone around the corner, took out a fire hydrant, cleared the ramp up towards our space across a large parking lot, and ended up just a couple of feet from my window. So they apparently were gone by then, but there was all kinds of stuff sitting out there, and it was like, oh. So then we went to the conference, and then come back, and I walk in on the, I didn't go the night before like I normally do to drop stuff off. I just figured I'd do it the next day. Walk in, look around the corner, and there's a giant Sasquatch staring at me in the face, and I just kind of looked down and walked into my office, sat down, and went, yep. So let everybody sit. Everybody knew I was in the office that was involved. I didn't say a word until later, and I thanked everybody. So it's kind of cool. It's now our mascot. But in any case, we're looking at that as kind of a brand. We're helping people find their reliability programs. They're hard to find, but we have the resources in order to do that. So, and that means basically we work with everybody. So if you contact us and it's outside of our skill set, we know the people that we trust to do it. So if I give you a reference to a company, I know they're going to do a good job for you. So that's kind of that aspect. Now let's get away from that a little bit and talk about what's coming up. So the next one, because I'm going to be at a conference, and we're going to be talking about things like the Iberian Peninsula blackout and and what's going on with the grid here in the United States. This is an engineering conference, and I hold a position in the engineering community where I am in a volunteer position representing the U.S. for the power generators, meaning generators and large electric machines through an organization called Seagray. So some of the areas of my particular specialty have to do with basically equipment reliability. So in fact, I also am the immediate past chair of standards for American Clean Power. I opted to not continue that role because of my other roles, where I'm going to continue working on certain standards, very technical standards, and we're not going to cover that stuff here. But I'll talk about that stuff generically so you understand why things are occurring. Like, why is it you drive down the highway and it's a windy day, but all the wind turbines aren't turning? You know, things like that. Why that stuff occurs. It's actually, there's a real reason behind it. Why did our electrical prices go up? Well, here's a for instance. So next week we'll talk about all this stuff a little bit as I can break away. Or actually I might wait till the end of the conference because I can't bring my audio equipment with me. I'll have to find a good microphone. But in any case, because I've got a setup here. So anyways, for instance, why is it that the more alternative energy, whether you want to use the term clean energy or alternative energy, it kind of goes with the political bend. I don't get it. When I got involved in all this stuff in the mid-1990s, I've been involved in energy and reliability since 1992. So, and then 1993 got directly involved in DOE and government-related stuff. Yeah, I call on the Hill and everything else. So, and then I watch all these experts, people that haven't seen any of this stuff, regurgitating information on social media. I'm sorry, a cruise director is generally not somebody, or somebody from a nail salon is generally not somebody that I would use as a resource for going for what's going on the grid and what's going on in generation. It just doesn't make any sense at all. The people who are involved, like for instance, I don't own any of the stuff there. And to give you a perspective, is it important for me to, from a business aspect, for wind, solar, and energy storage? Not really. It's only about 10% of our business. I could walk away from it and be fine. I find it fascinating. I find it an excellent additional source of energy. And the fact that, for instance, in Texas, we go from the chance of blackouts this summer at 16% because of alternative energy and the variable resource. It is a variable resource. We understand that, and we build that into the grid stuff. 16% chance of blackout down to 1%. Just from the systems being put in place in the past couple of years. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff. We're going to bypass all the political stuff, even though I have a few funny stories related to that. Again, I'm kind of politically connected, so I have some insight. And just so you're aware, I'm politically affiliated with both sides of the house, meaning that I'm just as able to call on a Democrat as I am a Republican. So I've been to the Republican White House a long time ago in order to push through skilled trades funding, all the way up to calling on Democratic senators and congresspeople in the aspects of reliability, workforce safety, energy, and related items, including cybersecurity. So with that, I am going to bid you guys adieu. I've got to be on a teleconference in literally 5 minutes having to do with business. So this is the introduction. It will be absolute chaos. And why do we call it chaos? Well, because I look at myself as a reliability engineer, an industrial engineer, as a chaos engineer, especially nowadays. And what I mean about chaos engineer is that My job is literally to sift through the chaos to figure out what happened in most cases. So you're going to hear lots of stuff related to that as this goes on. So this was disjointed. This was complete chaos as planned. Enjoy your coffee. I didn't sip as much as I expected. I still have 2/3 of a cup left, but I need that for an hour-long conversation. So with that, have a great day.